this government in 4 years has provided far more funds than any time in the past. As an example, in Maharashtra, in the 10 years before Devendra Fadnavis's government came in, the total procurement that Maharashtra state government had done was about 400 crore rupees in 10 years. And in 2.5 years, Devendra Fadnavis government has procured about 6.5 or 7,000 crores worth of food grains and different products. This government will ensure that farmers get their price that we have assured them. We work in partnership with all stakeholders, with the state governments, the central government and state governments working together. We will ensure that there is no manipulation of the market through a more transparent market mechanism, ensuring that auctions take place and price determined by auction will be the price if at all the state government approaches the center and wants to participate through the Bhavantar Yojana. We will encourage states and FCI and all the bodies of the central government.
Well, that of course is the government coming out, what seems to be a reaction on the fuel tax loot, but we also heard about some words coming in as to how the farmers are also like to get a fair price, and also the Union Minister Piyush Goyal saying that they will ensure a transparent market for the farmers, ensuring that they get a fair price for their produce. With that
time also, our idea is that electrification should become the primary source of ensuring that we don't have pollution, and railways works on electric. Diesel will be required always, and all over the world. Switzerland has 100% electric, but they have a network of standby arrangements which are required in the event of any problem.
So annually, sir, how many diesel engines will you procure from GE?
We have estimated about 700 to 1,000 engines will be required in the border areas and for standby in such a large network.
So from GE you will be procuring that much per year?
Over 12 or 14 years.
Okay.
Not per year, over 12 or 14 years.
आपने कहा आरपीएफ को लगभग कितनी रकम मिलने की उम्मीद है उसमें?
वो अभी टीडीआर ऑक्शन करेंगे जो ऑक्शन में पैसा है.
Today we are confined the floor cabinet. Yes. Please.
लेकिन अभी अगर मैं बात करूँ तो करीबन 18,000 करोड़ के आसपास का डीजल जो है कंज्यूम करता है और 300 करोड़ लीटर के आसपास जो है डीजल कंज्यूम रेलवे करता है. 5% डीजल की कीमतों में बढ़ोतरी हुई है, उसका रेलवे की प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी पे अभी क्या आप देख रहे हैं?
स्वाभाविक है, जुड़ा होता है, उसको हम कम करने के लिए तो इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन को और बढ़ावा दे रहे हैं.
Thank you. Sir, one last question.
Sir, one question. Mr. Pradhan,
I think,
is there a relief in sight for the common man from diesel and petrol prices, and what are the reasons the government is not cutting taxes?
today our press conference is only confined to what we have decided in cabinet.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, that being an announcement here that's coming from the government on what the cabinet has decided. This is of course which comes in as relief for sugarcane farmers as far as increasing the procurement price of ethanol there is concerned. The government so far sits silent on the issue of fuel price hike, instead indicating to reduce dependability on fossil fuel and look at alternative fuels and alternative use of running our vehicles. So it has focused in as far as the ethanol procurement price there is concerned, has remained silent on immediate relief. So there is no immediate relief. The last question that was taken by the petroleum minister as far as immediate relief on cutting taxes on fuel is concerned, Dharmendra Pradhan, as you just heard a few seconds ago, categorically refused to comment. So very clearly, the government is not looking at any immediate relief for us as far as the non-stop continuous fuel price hike there is concerned. The other big takeaways here from these announcements that have come in from the government. Let's get in those details. We have with us our correspondent Aarti with those inputs there. Aarti. Okay, you're going to be reconnecting in just a bit. It was with bated breath that we were wanting to hear whether or not you have the Union Oil Minister there sitting in on whether or not the government would be speaking on fuel price hike. What has the government been huddled into a meeting for? Why has there been no assurance that there would be a cut in fuel tax from the central government? A few state governments have reduced their VAT, but there has been no such intention from the central government. Our correspondent Aarti with further inputs here on what has just been announced. Aarti.
Well, the press conference saw the petroleum minister, being asked repeatedly about the diesel and petrol prices, and twice there was no answer. Twice this question was entirely evaded. Earlier, right before Mr. Piyush Goyal answered some questions, a reporter did ask him about the diesel and petrol prices. There was no response to that question. Right at the end of the press conference, as Mr. Piyush Goyal, as the Railways Minister, was getting up, Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan, the Petroleum Minister, was asked once more, what about the rising petroleum prices? What is the government deciding to do? And the Dharmendra Pradhan completely evaded that question. He said, of course, that this press conference is related only and only to the cabinet decisions that were made today. So no response from the Petroleum Minister, despite being asked repeatedly. One, of course, has to question the decision and the wisdom of remaining mum when you have a direct question posed at you twice on a question that is as pertinent as rising petrol and diesel prices.
That's right, Aarti. There has been no assurance that is coming from the central government. We're looking at now close to 16 days here, back to back, of a fuel price hike. While state governments have relented, some of the state governments, despite the cost on the exchequer, have decided to cut down on state VATs, but the central government is taking no such step for the people. And that is the big takeaway here that's coming on the announcement that has come in from the government. You have two union ministers sitting there making announcements on various decisions, on various issues that have been taken by the cabinet. It is shocking that for the government, the issue of fuel hike, the issue of fuel price hike has not figured, has not been addressed either. This was a press conference. Questions were taken in by the journalists. And the last question, the most pointed, on immediate relief. We are looking at immediate relief. What is the immediate relief by the government on the fuel price hike? None whatsoever. It's a clear answer that has been given by the government. They have not thrashed this out. They have not discussed this. They have not taken this into consideration. And they have not taken into consideration the kind of hole that it's burning in our wallet continuously for the past fortnight.